Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jana Balava Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Balava Girivaradhari Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Yasoda Nandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Anachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadayā Shivāśadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Jai Nityananda Prabhu Advaita Gadayā Shivāśadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadayā Shivāśadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go, 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 Haribo! Back to home, back to Godhead! Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go, Haribo! Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Go Haribo. Nitai ga Haribo, 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 ga Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai, 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 Prabhupada, 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 Jai, Prabhupada. Go Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Joy Nitya Lila Bhavishnu Vishwabharamamsa. Parivraja Gitari Sarasri Shishi Maradavai Nami Grace. Shilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shirabhavat Ki Jai. Jai Nitya Lila Bhavishnu Vishwabharamamsa. Parivraja Gitari Sarasri Shishi Maradavai Grace. Shila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati. Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Vrindi Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se Gaur Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadayā Shri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kṛṣṇa Gokubinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Namati Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Yugadharma Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Go Mata Go Seva Ki Jai. Most merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kṛṣṇa Balaram Shri Shri Radha Shyama Sundar Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Kṛṣṇa Balaram Mandir Ki Jai. Sham Veda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories of some devotees. All glories of some devotees. All glories of some devotees. Oh, glory to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Nanam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Nasta Praishvabhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, or Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, Srila Vyasadeva, the author, Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and dearmost spiritual master. Certainly, we would be completely lost without him. Everybody agree? Okay. Especially me. Okay, so we're continuing, and actually we're ending also with this wonderful chapter called Lord Kṛṣṇa Slays Śālva. And today's text is
33, 37.
33, okay. And so a chance of Sanskrit on 33 or 37? Okay, well this is where the purport is, so we'll chant this.
Text what?
Text 33, chapter 77, canto 10. Tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā. Tam tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śālvaṁ śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ śālvaṁ śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja śauvam śatror gadayā ruroja tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śālvam śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja. Please chant. Śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śālvam śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śālvam śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śālvam śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja tam śastra-pūgaiḥ praharantam ojasā śaraiḥ śaurir amogha-vikramaḥ viddhvācchinad varma dhanuḥ śiro-maṇiṁ saubhaṁ śatror gadayā ruroja. Any other brave souls? Word for word. Tam, him, shastra, of weapons. Pūgaiḥ, with torrents. Praharantam, attacking. Ojasā, with great force. Śālvam, śālva. Śaraiḥ, with his arrows. Śaurir, Lord Kṛṣṇa. Amogha, never exhibited in vain. Vikramaḥ, whose prowess. Viddhvā, piercing. Acchinat, he broke. Varma, the armor. Dhanuḥ, the bow. Śiraḥ, on the head. Maṇim, the jewel. Śauvam, the saubhaṁ vehicle. Cha, and śatror, of his enemy. Gadayā, with his club. Ruroja, he broke. Ha, indeed. Translation: while Śālva continued to hurl torrents of weapons at him with great force, Lord Kṛṣṇa, whose prowess never fails, shot his arrows at Śālva, wounding him and shattering his armor, bow, and crest jewel. And then with his club, the Lord smashed his enemy's Śālva airship. Purport by the disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada writes that when Śālva thought that Kṛṣṇa had been bewildered by his mystic representations, he became encouraged and began to attack the Lord with greater strength and energy by showering volumes of arrows upon him. But the enthusiasm of Śālva can be compared to the speedy march of flies into a fire. Lord Kṛṣṇa, by hurling his arrows with unfathomable strength, he injured Śālva, whose armor, bow, and jeweled helmet all scattered to pieces. With a crashing blow from Kṛṣṇa's club, Śālva's wonderful airplane burst into pieces and fell into the sea. The fact that Śālva's insignificant mystic power could not bewilder Lord Kṛṣṇa radically demonstrated. Text again: while Śālva continued to hurl torrents of weapons at him with great force, Lord Kṛṣṇa, whose prowess never fails, shot his arrows at Śālva, wounding him and shattering his armor, bow, and crest jewel. Then with his club, the Lord smashed his enemy's Śālva airship. Omagyan timanandasya gananjana salakaya chakshurun militam jena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Shri Chaitanya manobishtam shtavitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamayam dadati svapadantikam vandeyam shri guru shuta parakamalam shri gurun vaishnavamscha shri rupam sagajatam sagana raghunatam vitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parishana saitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya devam shri Radha Kṛṣṇa padan sagana lalita Shivishakanvitamscha. He Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I was born in the deepest, darkest depths of ignorance, but my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, has forced my eyes open and continues to force my eyes open with the torchlight of knowledge. Certainly I would be, and all of us, completely lost without him. So thank you very much for this opportunity to say something. Although I'm completely unqualified and way over my head here, still I've been asked to say something, and it's my duty, therefore, to speak. But before I do that, I want to ask for all of your blessings. Please forgive my many inadequacies and bless me so that what I may say may be beneficial and in line with our previous acharyas. And forgive me, but at this stage of my life, I have to take notes and read from my notes. Otherwise, I'll be completely lost. So with the death of Śālva, the great magician... Oh, wait a minute. We have to go on... Yeah, we should read the other verses now. Sorry. Okay, text 34. I'll just read the English to make go quicker. Shattered into thousands of pieces by Lord Krishna's club, the Śālva airship plummeted into the water. Śālva abandoned it, stationed himself on the ground, took up his club, and rushed toward Lord Achyuta. As Śālva rushed at him, the Lord shot a bala dart and cut off his arm that held the club. Anyone know what a bala dart is? So he cut off Śālva's arm that was holding the club. Having finally decided to kill Śālva, Kṛṣṇa then raised his Shudarshan disc weapon, which resembled the sun at the time of universal annihilation. The brilliantly shining Lord appeared like the easternmost mountain, bearing the rising sun. You can just see that vision, eastern sun shining on the mountain. Kṛṣṇa was looking like that. Employing his disc, Lord Hari removed the great magician's head with its earrings and crown, just as Purandara had used his thunderbolt to cut off Vritra's head. Purandara, is that another name for Indra? Oh, okay. Seeing this, all of Śālva's followers cried out, "Alas, alas!" but to no avail. With the sinful Śālva now dead and his Shobha airship destroyed, the heavens resounded with kettle drums, played by groups of demigods. Then Dantavakra, wanting to avenge the death of his friends, furiously attacked the Lord. Okay. So with the death of Śālva, the great magician, we come to the end of chapter 77 of 10th canto, 77th chapter, entitled Lord Kṛṣṇa Slays the Demon Śālva. And we've heard some wonderful classes from devotees on this chapter. Just yesterday, Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj gave an amazing class. They gave us insights into this great science of Achintya Beta Beta Tattva, and helped us to understand the inconceivable nature of Kṛṣṇa and his many diverse energies. Maharaj very nicely explained how Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is conscious of everything directly and indirectly, past, present, and future. Enjoying rasa, the sweet taste experienced in relationship with his devotees. Kṛṣṇa sometimes agrees himself to become bewildered by his internal potency. We're all bewildered by what? The internal potency? Yogamaya? Anybody here? No, by the external potency. But not Kṛṣṇa. And so, why did he do that? So he could relish more fully relationships with his devotees. In Canto 1, 8.3, text 30, Queen Kunti has this wonderful, wonderful verse where she says, "Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work, although you are inactive, and that you take birth, although you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering." So Prabhupada helps us, again, to gain some insights. In the purport, he says that the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. This is one of our greatest assets? No, this is one of our greatest detriments in the human form of life. We are hell-bent, practically hell-bent, to try to understand everything through our gross material senses. I've been doing this for over 50 years, and I'm still in that category. And so even I give tours in the palace. It's a wonderful service because I'm able to talk all day long, just preach about Srila Prabhupada and the incredibly inconceivable nature of Krishna's pastimes that he exhibits through his pure devotees like Prabhupada. And over time, repeating that every single day over and over and over again, I become more and more aware of how incredibly inconceivable it is what Prabhupada accomplished and what Krishna put him through to get to that point. Krishna always tests his devotees, especially those devotees looking to become pure unalloyed devotees. So Prabhupada says, so I tell people as I'm giving tours in the palace that, we're so proud of our eyes. Prabhupada talks about how we can't even see the thing closest to our eyes, our own eyelids. And yet they have this, I think it's called a Hubble telescope, that they say can look into other galaxies and see all these other different universes and galaxies. But the only problem is, what are they looking through? They're looking through the lens of their imperfect vision. So the illusion is propounded, and it is impenetrable. As we know, you come to the end of the universe, and what happens? Then there's how many billions? I don't know, trillions of miles of yojanas there's of earth, then fire, water, air, all the subtle elements as well. It's impenetrable. The Lord is the all-pervading super soul of existence, and yet he appears in the form of a boar amongst the animals, in the form of a human being as Rama, Kṛṣṇa, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayan, and in the form of a aquatic like a fish. Yet, it is said that he is unborn, that he has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. Nobody is equal to or greater than him. He has manifold energies. Everything is performed by him practically by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. Wow, can you imagine that? Everything is performed by Krishna through automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. Automatic is a very interesting word. I came across something Prabhupada said. There are all these hidden gems. I call them Prabhupada's one-liners. Sometimes, just one little phrase of Prabhupada, not even a complete sentence. You listen to it and it just like shatters the illusions to smithereens. And you could literally meditate on that one little aphorism for your entire life and get newer and newer realizations from it. So, see, this is why I write down notes, because I forgot my train of thought. So Prabhupada's talking about in this process, we're all engaged in this process of what? Of trying to get to the point to complete absolute, full surrender unto Krishna. And Prabhupada says, in this process of surrendering to Krishna, we cannot use he says we cannot use our own strength, even slightly. And trying to understand that from someone like my perspective, who's so covered by the modes of passion, it's like inconceivably, gradually, Kṛṣṇa is showing me, where that line is, because there's two things. There's our endeavor. We can't succeed without our endeavor. And then there's Kṛṣṇa's mercy. And finding the perfect combination of that will help us make very rapid spiritual advancement. So, all these statements proved without any question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power, and because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, and we should remember this every day, especially when we're chanting japa, And because he is inconceivably powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. It says even the greatest demigods cannot understand, cannot conceive of Krishna's pastimes. It says when Krishna was here personally in Vrindavan, it's not just this little coward village in Vrindavan here. It says that the whole spiritual world was here or is here in a corner of Vrindavan. It says that Krishna and all his coward boys had hundreds of thousands or millions of cows. It's inconceivable. We can't understand it with our limited mind and intelligence. Atashi Krishna namadi nambhavet grayam indriyai seva mukhe jivado svayam eba sparayuda. Nobody can understand Krishna with a materially plant mind and senses, but when Krishna is pleased and our senses become saturated with his pleasure, then we are imbued with proper understanding. Prabhupada finishes his purport. He says he cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they are intimately related with them and they can reveal it to us. So the more we dive deeper and deeper into this incredible science of rasa, the more these deep, deep mysteries concerning Krishna's transcendental form, name, and activities gradually become realized. And if you think about it, it reveals just how much Krishna loves each and every one of us. We can't conceive of that love. And he's so kind, he's not only incarnates as the supreme lover and the supreme beloved in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to relish and experience that supreme relationship with him for himself, but at the same time, out of his causeless mercy, he chooses to come to this degraded material world and allow all of us to directly experience the transcendental nature of that supreme loving relationship in our own individual and unique way, although we are all fallen, conditioned souls with no qualification. In a subsequent purport, in Quinquentis Praise, Srila Prabhupada also explains, he says, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Wait a minute. Yeah, so we have all somehow or other, how did we become so fortunate? I was asking Panchagoda Prabhu when he was here. Every day I'm like, Panch, what did we ever do in a past life to deserve this? And trying to figure this out, a devotee asked Prabhupada one time. Prabhupada said, no. He said, I have created your good fortune. And so our qualification is somehow or other that we've already received the good fortune to all be here, being allowed the opportunity in Krishna Balaram Temple, in presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his wonderful manifestations, and to chant his name, to be able to sit and hear Srimad Bhagavatam class in Vrindavan, in the association of Krishna and his devotees, and to be able to take part and relish this great transcendental experience of consciousness transformation. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Sutta Chitte Karaoke. No. What is it? Kare Uday. Says the pure love of Krishna is eternally established in the heart of all living entities. Just imagine, it's already there. Our relationship with Krishna is already there. It's just waiting for us. It's not something to be gained from an outside source. It's already there. When the heart is purified by sufficient hearing and chanting, the heart naturally awakens. Prabhupada states this is the special qualification of the devotee. That the devotee accepts the inconceivable energy, the inconceivable nature of God, and that allows us to gradually enter into Krishna's pastimes. What are we doing here? We're just like, we're practicing, we're practicing sadhana bhakti, but what's actually happening? We're in the process of uncovering our eternal spiritual form and engaging in our eternal relationship with Krishna. And as that becomes more and more prominent, our dependent on all these external things like our material senses and our mind, they become secondary. And we start getting direction directly from Krishna within. Prabhupada talks about how Krishna consciousness is active. Krishna is the active principle of everything. And Krishna's always there. He's been there with us since time immemorial. But because we've just been focused on our own selfish desires, we just haven't noticed his presence. And so what are we doing in this process of sadhana bhakti? Prabhupada says we're becoming qualified by this practice to gradually feel the presence of Krishna in the sphere of our ordinary activities. We're becoming qualified to actually feel Krishna's presence in the sphere of our ordinary activities. And so Krishna's always dropping different clues. He's always approaching us in different ways. But I'm just speaking for myself. It's usually just going past me. And whatever I'm getting is just like insignificant compared to what actually Krishna wants to give me. Although I am completely unqualified to receive that. So we just have to keep practicing. Or as my good friend Vaishesika Prabhu always says, we just have to keep on keeping on. Because, we are bewildered by the time factor. This time factor is, what's that phrase? It's something by its absence. It's, What's that word? Conspicuous, yeah. Conspicuous by its absence. So there is no time factor. As we experience here in the spiritual, time is eternal. And gradually, as I give more and more tours of the palace too, I think about this, more often too. That and we realized this when Prabhupada was personally present, and we had the incredible good fortune of having his personal association, because Prabhu was someone who was seeing Krishna eye to eye. And effortlessly, without our doing anything, just coming into Prabhupada's presence, we were allowed to come close to where he was situated. At least a lot farther away from where we were. And we had that incredible benefit when Prabhu was here, and we realized from that there is a reality happening on a completely different level than we're at. Because everything we do in Kṛṣṇa consciousness is dependent on one thing, on the development of our faith, on the development of our purification of our spiritual senses, so we can realize this inconceivable nature of Kṛṣṇa and his name and his pastimes and everything. So, I think of this too, because there's so many things happening in the world, and it's so easy to get bewildered by things. But if we look at things from a pure spiritual perfection perspective, which is really healthy to do, because if we think of things in the scope of our own tiny lifetime, what is this life? And what are we trying to achieve in this life? In this short lifetime we have left. And how is it possible? This is impossible. If this was Satyuga now, we'd all be like demigods. We would live a lifetime of 100,000 years. That means we were all yogis. There was no passion or ignorance. We'd be meditating. We would have to meditate for 50, 60, 70,000 years, who knows. Then at the end of that, maybe some of us might become perfect, go back to home, back to God. Now, it's Kali Yuga. It's raging. It's so difficult to maintain a family. What to speak of the spiritual practice? There's so many distractions on so many levels at every moment. How is it possible for us to become purified by a spiritual process? It's not. It is impossible. Maybe in 1,000 lifetimes doing the same thing. But Lord Chaitanya has come. All the bets are off. We've all won the lottery. He's given us something no incarnation of Krishna has ever given in the history of this planet, in its history. And Lord Chaitanya does come regularly. So if you miss it this time, don't worry about it, you get it next time. 4,300,000,000 years from now. And he came 500 years ago. Like that, it's really, I like to try to remind myself of that when I start becoming a little bit depressed. So in analyzing like what's happening in the world, and I mentioned this last time when I was here, but I'd like to mention it again because it's so inconceivable. When I joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1972, nobody knew what meditation was. Nobody was doing yoga. Now, there's like a yoga studio in every corner. There's all kind of exalted, open-minded people, not just in America, a few people in other countries and in India. No, all over the world now, all these exalted, open-minded people are taking birth and joining this movement. The Hare Krishna movement is spreading like wildfire all over the world. How is this possible? One reason is because Prabhupada never left. He's more present now than he ever was before. Because we have the opportunity to realize Prabhupada in his Vani now. And if we didn't realize that, only realize Prabhupada in his Vapu when he was here, our realizations hit a brick wall. But we all of us, have that same opportunity. And all of us are disciples of Prabhupada. We're not a Diksha movement. We're more than anything a Shiksha movement. And we're all Shiksha disciples of Srila Prabhupada. And so I think what's happening in the world now is very similar to what was happening when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago. Right? Krishna told the demigods, he said, take birth in the outer dynasty. I'm coming. Srimad Bhagavatam says now, with the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the demigods are more or less standing in line to take birth in this movement. This is so rare what's happening now. We have an unparalleled opportunity. And if we don't become serious about this now, we've lost the greatest good fortune that could be possible. So anyway, in conclusion, I would like to read a brief description of Mother Yasoda seeing the universal form of Krishna within his mouth. With your permission. Do I have your permission? Is that okay? Okay. Because the wonderful example of Krishna shifting roles in Vatsala Ras with Krishna's mother, and then gives a beautiful, incredibly beautiful and instructive description of Mother Yasoda's priceless reaction upon seeing that bewildering vision within the mouth of her son. So when Yasoda saw that, here's what she saw. Kṛṣṇa, have you been eating dirt? Mother, of course not. I've been eating, I give you so many sweet meats, nice things you have to eat. Mother, I told you, I haven't been eating dirt. All around, my friends, we had an argument, they're trying to get, it's okay, open your mouth, prove it. So, she's going to see inside the mouth of her little child. Instead, what does she see? When Kṛṣṇa opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yasoda, she saw within his mouth all the moving and non-moving entities, outer space, all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of ahankar. She also saw the senses, the mind, sense perception, and the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Wow, wonder what that looked like. She saw the time allotted for the living entities. She saw a natural instinct in the reactions of karma, and she saw desires and different varieties of bodies, moving and non-moving, seeing all these aspects of the cosmic manifestation along with herself and Vrindavan Dham. She became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. In the end of the purport, Prabhupada says, quite astonishingly, Mother Yasoda was afraid because of intense maternal affection. She could not believe that within the mouth of her son, such things could appear. Yet she saw them, and therefore she was struck with fear and wonder. Wait a minute, is this Prabhupada's purport or his disciples? I'm not sure. Anyway, but it's amazing. And in the next verse, so Mother Yasoda, when she saw this, you can imagine, this is just my own sweet little son, and now, what am I seeing? So within herself, she began to argue with herself. Is this a dream? Or is it an illusory creation by the external energy? Has this been manifested by my own intelligence? Or is it some mystic power of my child? Prabhupada explains, when Mother Yasoda saw this wonderful manifestation within the mouth of her child, she began to argue within herself about whether it was a dream. Then she considered, no, I am not dreaming because my eyes are open. I'm actually seeing what is happening. I am not sleeping, nor am I dreaming. Then maybe this is an illusion created by Deva Maya. But that is also not possible. What business would the demigods have showing such things to me? I'm an insignificant woman with no connection to the demigods. Why should they take the trouble to put me into Deva Maya? That is not possible. Then Mother Yasoda considered whether the vision might be due to bewilderment. And she thought, no, I am fit in health. I am not diseased. Why should there be any bewilderment? It is not possible that my brain is deranged, since I am ordinarily quite fit to think. Then this vision must be due to some mystic power of my son, as predicted by Gargamuni. Thus she finally concluded that the vision was due to her son's activities and nothing else. So, this is so instructive. So what did Mother Yasoda do? No, that was the end of her speculations. Next verse. What does she say? Therefore, let me surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer my obeisance unto Him who is beyond the conception of human speculation, the mind, activities, words, and arguments, who is the original cause of this cosmic manifestation, by whom the entire cosmic is maintained, by whom we can conceive of its existence. Let me simply offer my obeisances, for He is beyond my contemplation, speculation, and meditation. He is beyond all of my material activities. In the purport, Prabhupada, or his disciples, I'm not sure, very nicely explains One simply has to realize the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should not try to understand it by any material means, subtle or gross. Mother Yasoda, being a simple woman, could not find out the real cause of the vision. No, this is Prabhupada's purport, right? Because Brahma Vimoha was the last thing Prabhupada translated. That's coming later. This is all Prabhupada, directly Prabhupada. Mother Yasoda, being a simple woman, could not find out the real cause of the vision. Therefore, out of maternal affection, she simply offered obeisance unto the Supreme Lord to protect her child. She could do nothing but offer obeisance to the Lord. It is said, Achinti kalu ye bhava natams tarkena yojaya. From Mahabharata, one should not try to understand the supreme cause by argument or reasoning. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer Him our respectful obeisances. Then our position will be secure. This was the means adopted in this instant also by Mother Yasoda, all of our spiritual masters. Whatever happens, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer obeisances to the lotus feet of the Lord. And how often does it happen to you that you can't understand the immediate cause of your action? I'll tell you how often it happens to me. Like all the time. That's why I try to be always chanting. Therefore, Prabhupada says very nicely again, a devotee cannot understand the cause of suffering, the cause of suffering. Therefore, the devotee concludes, Tante nukampam susamikṣamano punjane vatmakritam vipakam viddhvā vapurbhir vidadan namaste jiveteyo mukti bade sadaya bhag. The devotee accepts it is due only to his past misdeeds that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has caused him some small amount of suffering. Thus he offers obeisances to the Lord again and again. Such a devotee is called Muktipad, Sadaya Bhag. That is, he's guaranteed liberation from this material world at the end of this life, simply by one thing, simply by tolerating. That's why Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple-hearted. All the residents of Vrindavan, they were not. They were all simple village dwellers. Oh, yeah, one other thing I'll, with your permission, I'm going to look up because Prabhupada gives a wonderful, talks so wonderfully in his 1936 offering to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. I'm just going to read a few lines because we're getting to the words, to the end of class. Oh. It's actually in another section. That's okay, we'll stop here. Thank you for your kind attention. Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions or comments? Any further discussion about this incredible subject of rasa? Madhavananda Prabhu, anything you'd like to add? Well, we have a few minutes. Yes, Mataji. Can someone bring the microphone back to this, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. If you go to śālvam, or maybe I missed that part because in this group of how you want to learn to feel Krishna's presence.
learns to feel Krishna's presence.
Can you elaborate on developing that ability?
Yeah, and it's just, I can really only share my own experience. I can't share anyone else's experience. Unfortunately, my experience is very limited. But over time, I've realized that practically my whole life in Krishna consciousness, I was trying to force Krishna into a box, forcing Krishna to surrender to my conception of how I think he should reciprocate with me. And therefore I've made very little progress over the last 50 years. But recently, I've actually started getting in touch with a level of suffering deep within that I wasn't aware of before. And it's been very, very difficult for me to access it because it's beyond my conscious awareness. And I only occasionally become aware of it, and different shadow emotions, develop, come from that. But in my desire to, and I just figure, why wait? First of all, why make Srila Prabhupada wait? Prabhupada said if we don't become perfect in this lifetime, he will come back and deliver us again. Why should I put my spiritual master through that and force him to come back? And I realized gradually that, we are being trained up to, and again, speaking for myself, to be able to accept. Prabhupada says numerous times throughout his writings, we should be experiencing separation from Krishna. And if we're feeling that, what are we feeling? Lord Chaitanya says one moment is like 12 years or more. So that should be the goal in our spiritual practice. And, it's difficult because, there are all these internal motivations. And, I think of this verse often, Savaipum Samparo Dharmo, Ito Bhakti Rahuksaje, Ahitugiya Pratiyata Yayatma Suprasiditi. This is what we have. We have the Mahamantra and this incredible, unparalleled opportunity. But what are we going to do with that? We're still, for myself, trying to understand things from my material mind and senses. And in terms of, I think, ahaituki means unmotivated. Is that what that means? In terms of that, I can't figure it out. How do I become unmotivated? All I can do is try and engage in activities where I feel like I'm giving my unmotivated devotional service to Krishna. But it's so difficult because being covered with material mind and senses, and it just goes so deep. So I'm bewildered as, what I can do in terms of that. But a pratiyata, or akhanda, as it says, akhanda kirtan, Indra Prabhu, that was the kirtan. He taught us this akhanda kirtan, 24-hour kirtan. So non-stop, I'm like, I have time factor at my disposal. So that I can work on. So I actually, my practice evolved to the point where, although I live in New Vrindavan, I help manage Prabhupada's palace, I give tours throughout the day, I didn't consider that my main service. I consider that my main service to be japa. And as we get further and further along the path, our individual path, we're all individuals. Krishna there's an individual Krishna for all of us, just like Kṛṣṇa expanded himself, and each expansion perfectly matched the character and the mindset of all the gopis. So Kṛṣṇa is eager to reciprocate with us like that. And so I found, because japa is just, it's very personal. And when I'm sitting chanting japa, and it's not that it's easy, as my japa is increased, and devotees sometimes chant, because I chant a lot of japa. If I can sit in one place and chant, which I usually can't for very long, but if I can, on my day off or something, I'll sit down sometimes 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 hours, just sitting and chanting. And sometimes devotees say, wow, you're chanting so much, you must have such a taste. No, I have no taste. It's a battleground. It's excruciatingly difficult. But, Kṛṣṇa doesn't see things from our perspective. We should think of that. How does Kṛṣṇa see me right now? What are Kṛṣṇa thoughts about me? And I can guarantee you, spiritual master and Kṛṣṇa's thoughts about us are completely different than the thoughts we're thinking about ourselves. And so my experience is when, by this process of continually chanting, associating with Kṛṣṇa's name, gradually I become aware of these really scary parts of myself, way below the surface, beyond my conscious awareness. And gradually I start to access that. And it's very difficult. The internal world is in one sense uncharted, because our practice is individual. And I've always kind of wondered, why is it so much of a mystery? I know why I have to work so hard and everything, but there's a purpose in that mystery. Even that's why Kṛṣṇa also, he puts himself into illusion, because there's a purpose in that. And to really relish rasa, we have to get beyond the point, beyond the purview of our material mind and senses. And it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of endeavor, but we have, the rest of our life. And just like it reminds me, although in my life, I've done many different things and had ups and downs, like all of us, but I had excellent training in the early days of the devotee. Of course, I joined when I was 19, didn't have the benefit of Gurukula, but, applying ourselves at that time, going out on book distribution every day, we were aware of we had this very intense service. And we were very aware of where we came from Maya, and we were very afraid of falling back into Maya. So we would keep a Bhagavatam book with us sometimes on Sankirtan. When we were waiting to go from one person to the other, open it, read Srimad Bhagavatam, or have the Maha Mantra right on the edge of our tongue. So when we stopped speaking to someone, immediately we'd start chanting Hare Krishna. So I'm trying to apply that principle in this later stage of my life. And gradually, we're chanting every day. We're going through the motions in this process of sadhana bhakti. But the result is not up to us. And it's frustrating, because it has to be frustrating. Right now we're thinking this material world is a nice place. I want to enjoy my senses. That's the purpose of my life. So we have to reach a level of frustration in our practice, and gradually the internal world starts opening up. All of a sudden, one day, we'll open our eyes from our japa, and we'll be in the spiritual world, because there's no difference. The only difference is our consciousness. Thank you. I hope that answers your question. Any other questions? Yes, Anji. A little girl has a question. Where's the mic? This is two wonderful devotees in the back here.
I can't really understand what you're saying.
Oh no. I'm really sorry. I know, I speak really fast. I wish someone told me earlier. I think mostly grown-ups can understand. Is there anything specific you want me to repeat?
I want to hear what you say about Prabhupada. I'm really looking forward to hear about Prabhupada because I never really heard of him a lot.
Okay. Thank you so much. That's such a wonderful desire. You got to come and visit me sometime in Prabhupada's palace, and all day long we'll talk about Prabhupada. Okay, is that okay? What should I say? What can be said about Srila Prabhupada? I don't know. I mentioned a pastime that I had with Prabhupada. And one thing I could mention, with your permission, I'll make it quick. When I was an early devotee and I joined the movement in San Francisco, I was a devotee maybe 4 months, and I knew philosophically that Srila Prabhupada is my spiritual master. But, you know, back then in the 70s, 60s, we were, at least in the West, we were looking for, like, a lot of us, for like mystical experiences. So we were experiencing, some of us experimenting with LSD and different things like that. So I knew Prabhupada philosophically was my spiritual master, but I wanted some direct confirmation from him. So Prabhupada would go out on his morning walk every day. And usually it was just the older devotees who got to go on that, because already there was a system in place with the GBC, regional secretary, temple president, senior devotees. Somehow or other, I was invited to go. Only 4-month-old devotee in the temple. So Prabhupada came out on his walk. And Kumari Gopi, what's your daughter's name? Huh? Nanya. Nanya. So can you hear me, Nanya, okay? Is it clear what I'm saying? Okay, good. So then I got to go on this morning walk with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would, like he'd normally do, he would talk about what he sees in outside related to Kṛṣṇa conscious philosophy. And so all throughout the walk, I kept looking at Prabhupada, and I kept trying to catch his gaze, that he would look into my eyes, and I would get just, I don't know what it was, just some confirmation that he was actually my spiritual master. I wanted some direct connection with him. And I was very shy back then. So I was kind of shy to even go in Prabhupada's room. But on a morning walk, I had a little more courage. So I kept looking. Prabhupada would walk with his eyes down, and then he would look up. I'd try to catch his vision, but it looked like he knew that. It was almost like I was, like Mother Yasoda trying to capture Kṛṣṇa or something on her own terms. And I was trying to, you know, do that with my spiritual master on my terms. Anyway, he kept avoiding my gaze. And so I just kind of gave up on the idea. And then later on in the morning walk, I'm sure it was when I least expected it, I was looking at Prabhupada. He had stopped walking. He planted his cane in the ground like he would often do, and he looked right at me. No, he looked, it was like he looked right through me. And his gaze was so incredibly powerful. And you can talk to devotees all over the world. It was mentioned in some of the devotees' pastimes, even a devotee who had zero personal association with Prabhupada, and were looking for just some small reciprocation. Prabhupada might come back from a morning walk and walk by and just glance in that devotee's face, and devotee would feel completely satisfied, like her service, everything she was doing to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was absolutely conscious of it. So it's kind of like that. When Prabhupada looked through me, his gaze was so powerful I couldn't hold it. And I closed. And this incredibly mystical thing I experienced when I closed my eyes, I have no idea what happened, but it felt like Prabhupada had grabbed my soul and transported me into the beginning when I first came to the material world. That's what it felt like. And in the same instant, Prabhupada transported me to the end of my sojourn in the material world. And when I opened my eyes, I had this absolute faith that Srila Prabhupada is my eternal spiritual master. Okay, Nanya, did you hear that? Was that okay? Okay, thank you. Okay, I think we have to end here. It's already past Praharantam. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.